Lisa from True North Homeschool Academy, and I live in the far north. If you followed me for any length of time, you know that I live in South Dakota. And listen, South Dakota is the land of extremes. 2 days ago, literally, it was 68 degrees out here. It did break records, but that's not unusual to have some really nice days in the middle of winter. And believe me, in February, it is still kind of the middle of winter for South Dakota. Then this morning it was 4 degrees out. So yeah, you heard that right. Within less than 48 hours, the temperature changed by 65 degrees. And we have that with frequency. This is not unusual. It's not abnormal. You can have like feet of snow on the ground and have a really warm day, and the lakes don't freeze or don't thaw. I've never lived anywhere like this, and I've lived all over the country. It is just so unique and interesting. But you never know if you should keep your winter coat out through April, you might need it, or if you should bring out the shorts. And the funny thing here is, now we had lived in the Southwest, so we lived in California and New Mexico for years before we moved up here. And in California, of course, if it breaks, if it goes below 70, people have literally winter coats on. But out here, it might be 16 degrees, and you go to Walmart and people are literally in shorts. So you do acclimate to it, but it is a land of extremes. And I wonder if you feel like your life is a land of extremes as you're homeschooling and as you're doing all the things. It can sometimes feel like it. We go from, we're going to buy all the perfect curriculum, to, I can't pick one more curriculum. I'm not doing any curriculum. We go from, I'm going to read to my kids 15 minutes a day, to they can read on their own. And I think with homeschooling, sometimes we just go back and forth. The pendulum swings wildly, just like the weather in South Dakota, until we hit our groove. And sometimes people give up before they hit a groove, or they just don't have the patience for it. They're just on the struggle bus because of the big changes. And kids do need consistency. Kids do need you to set the tone and set the vision and set the pace for homeschooling. They might not need you to teach them everything, but they do need the structure of homeschooling set by you. So I want to share 3 really simple things that I think are going to help you with creating a more even balance as you homeschool, so that you're not swinging wildly from one extreme to the other. And the first is schedule by time block. Now, I like this idea of time blocks, buffer blocks, which are just 5 minutes, 5 to 10, 15 minutes of things that you can get done. Maybe you sweep the floor, maybe you load the dishwasher, maybe you call a friend or make a doctor's appointment, but it's just a buffer block. It's in between things, and that's a good time for the kids to run downstairs, get their soccer gear, and put it by the door, even though you've got 4 hours to soccer. A buffer zone, a buffer time block is just that. It's just a short amount of time that you spend going, just doing some simple task. The next block of time is the most important block of time, and that is a strategic block. And that's where you're really being strategic about your time. It's usually a 2 to 3 hour time block, and these are business terms. And so with a strategic time block, that might be your time in the morning where you really sit down and get focused, or if your schedule's a little bit different, maybe the afternoon or even the evening, just depending on your lifestyle and what you're doing. But a strategic block of time is a 3 to 4 hour block of time that you have set aside, that you're not doing other things, you're not calling friends, you're not taking field trips, you are strategically working on the task at hand. And then the last block is the breakout block, and that is recharge time. Now, this is a work hard, play hard kind of model. So if you're really working your strategic blocks, you're going to need those breakout blocks and just recharging. What does that mean? Well, in our house, I would have the kids run around the house a couple times and do sit-ups and jumping jacks and make obstacle courses for them, or we would read, those kind of things. Now, like I said, these are business terms. The way that I translated that into our homeschool is we would get up in the morning, everybody would have chores and eat, then we would have a morning meeting at 9 o'clock, and we did that for years and years, where we would meet by 9. Everybody had to have their own breakfast done by that time. Often we sat and ate together. They'd have their morning chores and the animals fed, and then we would gather at 9. you can call it a morning basket, a morning meeting, whatever you want to call it. And we would spend 1 hour together, and we would get a lot of the memory work done. We would do Bible together because we had such great discussions. We would do Latin study and different poetry memorization, different kind of things like that. So that was a really fun time. We would get out the maps and the atlases for our Bible reading or our Latin memory, and really have a really great time with that. So even though it's a little bit shorter than most strategic time blocks, that was a real strategic time for us. And then after that, I would work with whoever was the youngest kid and a pre-reader in my home. So I had 5 kids, and so I usually had somebody who was learning to read. And I would work with them first, because what I found was that the littlest ones, if they got mom time right off the bat, they were usually a lot calmer throughout the morning, and that made our entire morning go smoother. So the older kids would have to start on their math, and then I would sit down and do phonics, or we would do reading stories or a little math, or we did Bright Start Math for years, which I love that program, by the way. It's such a beautiful early learning math program. So we did that during that time, and then we would work on content areas in the morning. Content meaning those subjects that are skill building. So Latin, math, some science. But it was really those subject areas that were skill building areas. So before you could get to the next level, you had to really understand these concepts. That's what I mean by skill based subjects. That's what we did in the morning. Because what I found is that kids' brains are fresher in the morning, and guess what? So was mine. And so I wanted to be able to really focus on math. I had some kids who had dyscalculia, and so math was really a struggle with them. I also had a kid who was gifted in math, literally, and so we had some math things going on. And like every family, we have challenges and we have great successes. So we would do skill-based learning in the morning, and then we would eat lunch together, and then we would do content-based learning in the afternoon. And by content-based, I mean that those are those subjects that you don't have to sequentially learn in order to get to the next skill level. So things like Bible, literature, history, those kind of things. Now, we did a lot of timelines, and we did a lot of lit analysis, and we did a lot of writing and speech and presentations and those kind of things. So it's not that there aren't skills involved. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you can do world history before you do U.S. history and vice versa. You can do geography at any time, although I think it's really preferable to do it earlier than later, because without geography, your kids don't have a context for what they're learning in histories. And it's such a great way to understand politics and economics and those kind of things. So we did a lot of geography. We personally love geography. So that's what I mean by content area. And then we would break like 3-ish, 4-ish. The kids would have plenty of time to play outside and do all the things with the animals. At certain points, we had a lot of animals because we live on an acreage. So we had, imagine animals, we probably had them. And they would go outside. They would do crafts. They would bake. Do scrapbooking, all the things, because we did a lot of things, or we would get ready for activities. And then we would generally make dinner together, eat together as a family almost nightly, and then get ready for bed. And we would usually read before bed or do Bible study together as a family. So that was our general schedule. And hey, having a general schedule like that just made such a difference, because the kids knew what to expect, and it wasn't a big surprise to them. And even if I was out for some reason, they kind of had a general idea of what to do for the day. So that's my first tip. Have some kind of schedule. Now, it doesn't have to be like a 15-minute time block or half-hour time block. The way I think, I couldn't work with that kind of rigid schedule. It would literally drive me crazy. I would always be feeling behind. It just would not work for me. If you're the kind of person where a very structured, rigid schedule works for you, do that. I just needed time blocks. So when things happened, with a big family and living on an acreage, I worked for quite a bit of the time. You just had to be a little bit more flex. And so that worked really well for us. That's what I did. The second thing, within the schedule, simplify everything. Okay. So meals, you can absolutely simplify, make them pretty basic. We generally for years ate Pretty much the same thing for breakfast and lunches. And it was very simple. We taught the kids how to cook from a very young age. We started with Usborne Book of Children's, I think it's Usborne Book of Cooking for Kids or something like that. Then we moved on to Joy of Cooking. Everybody got their own copy for Christmas at some point, and they started actually like really cooking. So do something, teach your kids how to cook. Help them, have them help make meals, but keep meals really simple. You don't need a ton of variety in your diet. We eat very holistically, and we always have. So we always have fruits and vegetables, and they're very simple to prepare. And then figure out what you're going to do for protein and carbs. You know what I mean? But just keep it really simple. The other thing, clean together and simplify your cleaning. We have gone pretty all natural on a lot of things, and so we like Norwex products because we have a lot of allergies, and we're really trying to cut down on the chemical load on everybody. But use what works for you. Teach your kids how to clean, and then clean together. That's one of the ways that we did laundry as a large family. Is we would switch around from washer to dryer and just keep that cycle going, and then one day a week I would do all the folding, and the kids would run everything and put it away as we folded it. Now, we had a big enough house at this point when we had 7 people living here that the laundry wasn't out in the middle of everything. If your laundry's out in the middle of everything, fold it and put it away, because literally, visually, that's going to distract you. So figure out how you're going to clean together and simplify your cleaning. With curriculum, simplify. You don't need all the curriculum. The last couple years that we homeschooled, really literally, I would look at 2 curriculum suppliers. I loved them. I trusted them. They were open and go. They fit within my educational pedagogy. I loved it as a teacher. My kids learned a lot as students. Get clear on your student learning profile. And I did a Facebook Live about this a couple days ago. Your learning profile, your student learning profile is what do you want your kids to have accomplished by the time they graduate? Get really clear in your head about that, because that's going to simplify everything. Everything. It's going to simplify everything down to kindergarten. If you know the skills and everything that you want your kids to graduate with, as a 17, 18, or 19-year-old, it can really clarify and save you so much time and money. Once you have a student learning profile done, make sure you create a personalized learning plan for all your kids. And that is just like, what subjects are they going to learn, what year, what curriculum, what subject does it fit into, and it just simplifies everything. And then at that point, curriculum is really super easy. You might already have it, right? But I would just find a couple curriculum suppliers and online suppliers that you love and trust, and stick with them, because it's very expensive to switch curriculum. Now, all that being said, I would say we owned more math curriculum than about anybody else on the block, because again, we had these extremes in our math ability in my home. And so we kept looking for things that were going to work for everybody, and nothing did. So we kind of personalized it as we went. We had my super mathy kid who ended up doing a math minor in college, going through Calc 4. He loved Life of Fred, did super well with that. We did a lot of Math UC. We did Learn Math Fast. We did Keys Algebra. So we ran the gamut. But one thing I found is the things that you own the most of with curriculum are the things you or your kids struggle with the most. So just bear that in mind. I don't know that that's a hard and fast rule, but it might be something to take a look at. But all that being said, simplify your curriculum. You don't need all the curriculum. You need a couple of really key pieces and stick with those. And then I would say, really seriously, figure out a wake up and a bedtime routine for your family or for each kid. If you have younger kids and older kids like we did, the routine might be different or it might not. But just figure out what is going to be your wake up routine, what is going to be your close down routine to the day. Give your kids those bookend structures, and that's going to simplify everything for everybody. Your kids will know when those cues and prompts happen that it's time to hit the sack, and they'll know when it's time to get up. And one of the things I found, I really do believe in letting kids sleep if they're tired. That's really, the research is in on it, and really it shows that if your kids are tired, let them sleep. My husband also, who's a clinical psychologist, he does a lot with sleep hygiene, because insomnia is like an epidemic proportions. But one of the things is that insomnia is often caused by people having devices and cell phones and televisions in their room. So get those out of the bedrooms, because your kids need sleep. They're going to sleep. They're going to grow better. They're going to be healthier. Their hormones will be better regulated, making your life much easier. And listen, those devices disrupt all of that. So it's something you really want to think about. And then lastly, I would say you want to look at outsourcing. So, outsource. I'm going to scroll just a minute because I changed everything else around, but of course I'm running out of power right now. Okay, so I've got a cord. Okay, so as far as the third thing, so the first thing is schedule and time blocks. The second thing is simplify everything, especially if you're a working homeschool mom, and simplify your routines for getting ready to go to work. If you work from home, that makes things easier in one way and more difficult in another, because you really need to be strategic about your work environment, and this is your work time and your workspace. If you leave for work, of course, you have to put some other things in place like childcare and who's in charge and all those kind of things. But simplify all of that as much as possible. Do yourself a favor. And I've given this analogy before. When we did our house rebuild from the fire, one of the big lessons for that from that for me was it often takes more to set up a project than to actually do the project. So when we painted our first floor, it actually took more prep time than it did paint time. We had to block off the stairwell going up and downstairs. We have 12-inch floorboards and 6-inch woodwork on all the doors and windows, and a lot of windows. So we had to tape all that off and plastic the windows and those kind of things. And then we had to prep the walls, and that literally took hours. And then when we painted, we had spray guns, so it really didn't take that much. We sprayed, we rolled it in, boom, and we were done in like an hour. So that is the same for a lot of things, right? So spend some time prepping about how to simplify. Just take some time, give yourself a strategic block to really think through some of those things. Okay, so schedule time blocks, simplify everything, and then the third thing is outsource. I'm not even kidding. Outsource the things that you don't have the bandwidth for. Look, I'm really good at math, but teaching math is a whole different deal. I don't like to do it, and my kids don't want to learn it from me. One of my kids did, but she's super mathy, and I just showed her once or twice, and she got it, but the other kids, not so much. So outsource the things that drive you nuts or you don't want to teach. That was an easy one for me. Or outsource the things that you just can't get to but have a high value. Hey, if it is on your student learning profile and you're never getting to it, like perhaps one of the things on your student profile is you want your kids to really have developed a sense of creativity, and you want them to understand art and to be able to do art, but you never get to art. Outsource art. I mean, it's just that simple. You want your kids to do biology and chemistry and physics labs, but you never get to labs. Outsource science. You want your kids to have a really good sense of the environment and what that looks like. Outsource to environmental science with Melissa Grande. So take those student learning profiles and figure out what things can you outsource. And you can outsource multiple different ways. You can outsource to free resources like Khan Academy. You can outsource to passive learning programs that are just your kids watch videos and they might do some kind of feedback loop or not. One of the really great resources that we've been enjoying this last year is Hillsdale Free Classes. Brilliant. But there's no feedback loop and you don't get credit for it or anything. I mean, one of the keys to active learning and really owning the information is having a feedback loop, right? And then you can outsource to paid programs like True North Homeschool Academy, and we hope that you choose to do that. Some of our families have been with us for years, and every year they call me up and they're like, okay, Lisa, what does my kiddo need to take? We're like 2 years from graduation. They started with us years ago, and I just look at their transcript, let them know, and that's that. And I love that. We've had kids with us for years. They're part of our community. We just appreciate them so well. And so many of them are graduating, or have, but more and more of them are graduating. So it's been such a joy to watch them grow and develop and become these beautiful young adults. But I would say find an outsourcing program that makes sense for you, that is in your budget, and that is a trusted source. Now, one of the things about True North Homeschool Academy is that our teachers are curated. They're from all over the world, but they have the same Judeo-Christian values. They love educational pedagogy that is solid and gets your kids learning the subject matter. They believe that your kids should be learning some interpersonal and life skills right along with the subject matter, so that's baked right in. They're willing to learn tech so that they can adequately use our learning management system. They love teaching and they love their subject matter. So winning combo, that's our teaching group. And then the subjects and classes are curated as well based on a typical course of study. Now, all that being said, I would say most of my kids did not do a super typical course of study. They did a general typical course of study, but then we had kids who really had very specific areas of interest, and they spent a lot of time in those areas of interest, because that's one of the beautiful things about homeschooling is you get to choose, right? And then they all went on to college or higher ed and they did exceptionally well. So it didn't hold them back in any way. In fact, I would say it probably helped them go farther faster in their areas of interest. So find a place, find a spot that you will outsource to when the necessities come, and just schedule that into your curriculum dollars. We did that for the last couple years of my daughter's homeschooling, and she did, I would say, the majority of her classes at True North Homeschool Academy. And she had some teachers that literally changed her life and really kind of shifted some of the focus of what she's done as a young adult. And so I'm very super grateful for these teachers that have been so important in my kid's life. My son took several classes from True North as well, and he still literally calls one of the professors to talk with him and get his input and feedback about, big decisions that he's making, especially regarding his job. And so those are the kind of relationships we love at True North Homeschool Academy and work to cultivate. So if you're looking for True North Homeschool Academy classes right now, which I absolutely hope that you are, you can use LAST, all caps LAST 5, the number 5, so LAST 5, to get 5% off of all of the classes, products and services that we offer at True North Homeschool Academy, including the already discounted bundles. So that's going to give you 10% off the total price. And then if you have a military ministry discount eligibility, you can stack that code as well. You need to contact us for the code unless you've already been approved, and then you can use the code that you already have. So that's pretty deep discount. Why do we do that? Because we appreciate you so much. We know that you could spend your curriculum dollars in so many places, but we are honored that you've chosen True North Homeschool Academy to place your trust to help educate your kids. And we know we're no replacement for mom and dad. We don't want to be. We trust you to educate your kids, but we do know, I personally know, that's why we started True North, is that sometimes you need somebody to come alongside you and take some of the load off and some of the burden, because we'd homeschooled for so long by the time my youngest daughter was getting older, but I was back to work full time, and I was just not able to give her the guidance and direction she needed. And again, she had these very specific areas of interest that were outside of my wheelhouse, and so we wanted to bring some experts in to really help hone those skills, which they did so very, very well. So we do offer a typical course of study. We offer math, 7th through calculus, 7th grade through calculus. We offer science, science from elementary all the way through advanced upper level science classes. We offer English from 3rd grade writing all the way through upper level English and history. And we offer history through elementary all the way through high school. We have an honors class to politics, philosophy, and economics. It's a credit and a half taught by Adam Pruzan, which is exceptional. So if you have a student who's interested in going into theology or politics or government or anything, that is a must-have class. We offer 6 foreign languages: Latin, German, Spanish, French, Hebrew, and ASL at multiple levels. So you can take elementary in Spanish and French, and then we add German in middle school, and of course you can take Latin starting in 5th grade. So and then Hebrew and ASL are mostly, well, Hebrew, we've had some junior high kids start in Hebrew in 8th grade. ASL, you could start in junior high, and you can earn those high school credits if you want to in junior high. So oh my gosh, we've got so many great classes, and the teachers are wonderful. And then of course our electives. Now, I say that we have marketable electives because these are classes that your kids can learn skills in and actually market themselves with the skills they've learned: video editing, graphic design. BJ Prayman teaches Form and Color, as well as Art 1 and 2. And listen, we live in a very image driven culture. Pair those classes with entrepreneurship or graphic design or video editing, and your kid has a job or a business right there. Don't forget about entrepreneurship. Listen, every kid needs to take entrepreneurship. I don't care what they're going to do, they're going to be entrepreneurial on some level. Most kids, our kids, are going to have 13, I think it's 12 or 13. I just looked this up this morning. 12 or 13 jobs over the course of their lifetime, maybe even in completely different sectors. So they need to know entrepreneurial skills, how to pivot, how to pitch, how to sell, all those kind of things. And then also we have informal and formal logic. I believe these are pivotal classes for your kids. I think everybody should have informal and formal logic because it teaches your kids how to think. It's the same with algebra. Do you use algebra every day? No. Do you think every day? Yes. So your kids need these classes. And then the last one I want to be sure to mention, besides personal finance and some of the other really practical classes, is career exploration. Again, another must-have kid for your kid, another must-have class for your kids. If you don't have a way or a resource to teach career exploration for your kids, take our class. Your kids need it because we are in the fourth industrial revolution. It's not going to end clearly at the end of the 2020s. Like it didn't start in 2020 and it's going to be over in 2029. No, we are in a time of societal disruption because the tech is changing so very quickly and it's evolving so very quickly, really at an unprecedented rate throughout history, any time in history. So your kids need career exploration, not so much so that they can hone down in a career, although some of them might, so they understand themselves and they understand the careers that are available and they understand how to prepare themselves for this disrupted digital global world in which they will live and work, even if we don't, because our kids are going to live, years in the future after we're not here. So you need to be thinking about that too. All right, so in conclusion, if you feel like you just run from hot to cold in your homeschool, consider these things. Schedule time blocks, simplify everything, and outsource classes as needed. And definitely look into our academic advising and coaching. We're here to help you, and you can get free academic advising, a 2-year free plan. Just go to truenorthhomeschool.academy and check out that. Scroll down a little bit. There's a button. We just need a little bit of information from you, and we will send you back a 2-year free academic plan. You can also schedule a 15-minute advising appointment with Tamara Poole. Free to you. And if you want a longer time, just schedule a regular advising appointment. Performance series test is there if you want to understand where your kids are performing at by age level and grade level. And it's an assessment tool. It doesn't pigeonhole your kid. It's not an evil test. It's assessing where your kids are at so you can figure out where you're going and not waste time spinning wheels, okay? That gives course objectives. It's a super great test. And then also check out the self-paced Spanish and self-paced ASL. So everything, ebooks and everything is 5% off with Last 5. And tomorrow we have a really great sale going on, up to 50% on some classes. I'm gonna just let you know those classes really quick. Academic advising is 25% off, self-paced ASL, Life of Christ, AI Unit Study, Foreign Language Exploration, the High School Boot Camp, Latin 1, Formal Logic, Heroes of the Faith, Biblical Feasts and Festivals, Biblical Hebrew 1, Modern Hebrew 1, Old Testament Survey in the fall, Self-Paced Spanish, and Informal Logic. And those classes are on a deep discount for this reason. We want you to realize how great our classes are and to get into some of those classes because we really see the value of those classes. They're going to teach your kids the 4 C's of education: communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. And so we've curated this list, and hopefully you'll take a good look at it. Latin 1, it's only $405. Informal Logic is only $519. So the prices are really good. Foreign Language Exploration, $249. Self-paced ASL is only $29, and academic advising is only $150. This is great value for you. Tell your friends. It's only going to last till the end of the month, which is a day and a half, and we did extend that Last 5 discount coupon too because it's a leap year. And of course, I'm just not calendar savvy, so I always have to look like, what day is it? What is the calendar date too? But I hope you take advantage of it. If you have any questions, we're around. Let us know. You can send us an email Call the number on the website, start a chat at truenorthhomeschool.academy, join our Facebook groups, leave a comment below, or you can shoot us a message through Facebook as well. Thanks for listening in. I hope this has been helpful. If you find yourself in a place of extreme, just think about some of these things. Schedule in time blocks, simplify everything, and outsource. I'll talk to you later, everybody. Thanks.